As a substitute teacher, you never know what you're going to hear, what the day's going to be like, and especially if you're subbing middle school. Now, I sub part time when I'm not teaching online this year. And one morning, I am going into a classroom that really was not supposed to be where I was going. A teacher got sick, the system was messed up. They had signed me up for a teacher who wasn't even at the school anymore. And here I am, I showed up to work and I am prayed up and I'm excited to start the day, and they're like, why are you even here for this teacher? She somehow has an absence, but she in the system, she's not even here, right? So I am confused, and I'm like, well, the absence was in the system. I accepted the job. That's why I'm here. And before I walk out the building, I get stopped. The principal says, oh my goodness, thank God you're here. One of our teachers just got sick. She needs you to cover her classroom. And talk about God guiding your steps, because I was on my way out thinking, well, I guess I'm going home. I woke up early, got here for nothing. And I go into a seventh grade classroom, and one of the teachers in the hallway was warning me right away. She's like, hey, this class, they have some behavior problems, very difficult kids, multiple behavior plans. And she was giving me this like warning, like, be careful, how you interact with these kids. They're seventh graders. They're unpredictable already. So I get into this classroom, and the lighting is dim and the bell hasn't even rang yet. First period hasn't even started. And this little girl comes bouncing in and she says, hey, are you going to be my sub today? And she's real excited. And she shakes my hand. And I said, yeah, I'm going to be your sub. And she said, well, I'm going to warn you, I'm going to be a problem. And I said, well, hey, problem, I'm going to be a problem too. And I'm trying to keep everything, light and exciting. And she says, introduces me, gives me her name. And she said, are we friends? I said, we're family. And we shake hands, and she goes jumping out of the room. And I was thinking, okay, this girl she's automatically introduced herself as a problem. And, I wasn't worried about it, because God's anointing in our lives will guide our conversations, right? So I was sharing stories with these kids, very beginning of the class. That girl is in my second class, and there's a whole class full of kids, and I'm telling them about this stuff. It's called Spike and Nard, and I was excited about it. And we found this stuff in my Bible history class when we were looking into the story of the woman in Bethany who pours this expensive nard over our Messiah's head right before the crucifixion, and it was worth a year's wages. And the people around him were confused, because they're like, why is she wasting? We could have sold this and gave it to the poor. And it got me curious. I'm like, why was it worth a year's wages? But most importantly, what did that room smell like that our Messiah was in? What did the tomb smell like? What did he smell like as he was going to the cross? That aroma that would have filled this room. And what is just so beautiful about this stuff is that it was poured on him for us. It was preparing him for burial. And that's what he says. He says, leave her alone. This is for my burial. And we got to looking it up, and you can buy this stuff. And the reason it was worth a year's wages is because it was made in the Himalayan mountains. So 1,000 miles journey that it took just to get to Jerusalem, where this woman was pouring this out. And back then, a year's wages, man, that's a lot of money. They're pouring this out. And wow, what an encounter. We found it online. My dad bought me some of this, and just breathing this in was like an emotional experience I cannot describe. And I was so excited to share this with those kids. So here I am sharing the story of this Spike and Nard with the kids in that classroom, and they want to smell it. And next thing you know, the kids are asking, can you put some on me? And they're holding out their wrists. And I'm going around, and they're all saying, we want to smell like Jesus. And I'm like anointing this whole class with this oil, with this perfume. And I look over, and that little girl who came into me and said, I'm going to be a problem, she had tears pouring down the side of her face. And somebody asked her, what's wrong? What's wrong, sweetie? How, and her friends were checking on her. And I just noticed. And she said, what if the Lord comes back and he doesn't take me? And oh my gosh, it was like one of those moments of realizing this is a 12-year-old, 13 possibly year old child, and she was concerned for her salvation at that moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, we started having this conversation about faith and becoming a part of this covenant of faith, and how it's a free gift, and how he would absolutely not leave you. And just to hear that childlike faith, somebody, and next thing you know, these kids, they are looking up like, What if he comes back tomorrow? How do we know when he's going to come back? They were getting on their computers and looking up what trumpets were on. I mean, it was like they were on this end time journey. It was really neat. And, people will warn you, like, you can't talk about this stuff in a public school. You'll get fired or whatever. And guys, I'm telling you, bring the Lord with you. Share the word in any way that you can, no matter what the cost, because we're running out of time. And these children around us, they're precious children. They need God in their lives just as much today as we did, and we have to be that light for them. And if somebody says they're going to be a problem, don't give up on them. God can fix any problem. Thank you all for listening. God bless.